Welcome to the Dr. Mudgil podcast. This is episode 137. It is the first week of July 4th. Hope you all had a wonderful holiday if you're in the States and observe July 4th. July 5th, very important holiday for yours truly, my birthday. And I just hope you're just soaking in those rays with sunscreen on, protecting yourself from the sun, but enjoying all that the summer has to offer. First week of summer break is down for my kids, and just I think maybe 8 more weeks to go, but they still complaining about how short their summer break is, but such is life. So speaking of kids, I'm going to share a story with you guys. So I recently saw a patient and his mother, so a 5-year-old boy and his mom, whatever, some older than that, and he was coming in for a rash, and the mom was coming in for a skin check, and it was a very busy day. And when I came into the room, so I'm kind of like fiddling with, we have these chairs that move and contort themselves in all these sorts of positions. And I walked into the room, the chair was like all contorted, like half the leg was up and the back was up, etc. And I said, well, I knew the kid was playing with the chair, and it seemed to me that the mom was letting him play with the chair. I said, wow, it looks like you're having some fun with that chair. And, radio silence from the mom, and the kid was really cute, very vocal kid. And he's started playing with the chair some more, and hitting all the buttons and asking me what this does and hitting the buttons, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, wow, this is strange. I kind of already mentioned that, very subtly that, wow, you're messing with this chair, which, I think I would have picked up on that as a parent, being like, oh, you probably shouldn't be doing that, and kind of reined it in. But none of that was happening in this room, and he kept messing with the chair. And then I said, it's like, wow. I was like, that's like a $15,000 chair. And still radio silence from mom. And just kept pressing buttons, kicking things and moving all the levers and stuff like that. And, I don't think the chair's ever seen that much action. We usually just press one button to raise it and make it flat, and one button to make it go down. And the mom was literally not saying anything. And I was like, well, okay, how do I rein in the situation? And I said, hey, bud, you ever hear that phrase, you break it, you buy it? And still nothing from the mother. So finally said, okay, let's take a look at this rash. I knew I wasn't getting anywhere there. And I don't know how much more action my poor chair could sustain without crapping out. So I took a look at him real quick. I had this very minor rash. I said, okay, this is what we're gonna do about it. And it was mom's turn next. So what I figured was, the kid would just go into the chair that the mom was sitting in, maybe, I don't know, look at something on mom's phone or be distracted in some way. And I started doing the skin check on mom. And, in my New York City office, it's small. The New York City offices are small. So I got to pack a lot of stuff into a very small space. And, in each of my rooms, or 2 of my 3 rooms, I have my lasers, so one of the room has 1, 2, 3, 4 lasers, and another room has 3 lasers in it. And these lasers cost a fortune. I mean, each one of them is the cost of a Ferrari. They're hundreds of thousands of dollars each. And while I'm examining the mom, I see the kid going up to one of my lasers and start messing with her. I'm like, whoa. I was like, that's off limits. Why don't you sit down in your chair or whatever, something along those lines. I said, still not a peep from the mother, literally nothing, didn't say a word. And as the exam went on, he kept messing with, trying to touch the lasers. And, I was starting to get a little bit annoyed, and that the mom wasn't doing anything about it. My assistant was trying to distract him. If one of these lasers go down, it's a real pain in the ass. I got to pay for an expensive repair. And, I wasn't happy about what I was seeing in this room. And finally, he kept messing with the laser. And I was like, hey, mom, kind of thinking that she might say something. Still absolutely nothing. So then I said, okay, buddy, you got to stand here in this corner for the next few minutes. And I finished up with the mom. Everything was fine. But it was such a jarring experience for me. I was like, wow. I was like, there are literally no boundaries. I mean, this kid's touching all this stuff. And God, when I was growing up, I'm sure many of you are the same way. I would get that look from my mom, and I knew it was oh boy, I got to rein this in. Like that, I'm doing something that I'm not supposed to be doing. It was literally just like a look, you know? And I would listen. I got into all kinds of trouble as a kid, but I loved my mom. I feared my mom too, and I respected my mom. And I knew that there was just in a situation like that, my mom would just literally give me the look, or maybe say one thing, and I'd be like, psh, standing at attention, not messing around. I think many of you could probably relate to that experience. When I shared this story with some of my colleagues, they were like, "Oh, geez, my mom would never let that fly, or my dad would never let that fly. In fact, my kids would never ever do anything like that. Like I would just say, hey guys, you can't touch that. Okay, they wouldn't touch it, but I would never let them just touch anything in anyone's house or anyone's office, let alone devices that cost like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you're clearly seeing that the doctor's getting stressed out that one of these things are going to break, So it had me thinking a lot. It had me thinking a lot about setting boundaries and how important that is. I mean, really at every age, to be honest with you. Listen, I'm no expert in parenting, but I do have 3 amazing kids. At least I think they're amazing. And it's like, those setting those boundaries like spills on like later into life. Like, as an adult, you have to set boundaries, as a teenager, as a young adult, as, a grown man, there's boundaries that you have to set and abide by. Like, if I want to get into shape, I have to, set my boundaries, say, no, I'm not going to eat dessert, or I'm not going to eat that bag of Doritos. Setting boundaries requires discipline. And those habits of discipline start very early on in life. I think as wild as I was growing up, there was always like certain things that I never messed with. Like I knew my mom had expectations, and I had no choice but to respect the expectations that she had and to deliver on the expectations that she had. And we all falter, and but ultimately it was those lessons of discipline like early on in life, and it was just ingrained in my mind. At some point I got my shit together, and I largely owe that to the boundaries that my mom set for me, and then the discipline that she groomed in me. And ultimately I came around to it, and I started doing better in school and all those sorts of things that she expected from me. But had she not set those boundaries at a very early age, I would have just been this amorphous, undisciplined being with no boundaries. So I don't know. I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but it was really kind of illuminating to just see a totally different take on parenting. I mean, I don't know what happened before or after that visit, but I was really kind of shook by the absolute chaos and lack of boundaries that I witnessed. Something that would seem so foreign to me, and I assume it probably seems foreign to anyone listening to this story. But I do think setting boundaries and establishing some routines of discipline at a young age translate into being a disciplined, productive adult. Call me crazy, but I just think there's some sort of linearity to that. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful, restful weekend and are ready to crush the week ahead. Let's get it.